Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today for UAlbany Alumni Association's Alumni Career webinar series. My name is Holly Barker Flynn. I am the Director of Alumni Programs at the University of Albany, and I am delighted today to be joined by David Reich, who's going to mystify you and teach you some tactical communication strategies. So David, thank you for joining us, and I turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you everyone for spending some time with me. Before we get started, just to make sure, if you haven't done this before on Zoom, go up into the right corner where it says view. And if you view the speaker, then you will see whoever is speaking. Most of the time it'll be me in the big screen, and you'll see some other folks that I'm going to be bringing in for some fun magic effects. And so with that, let's get started. So there's 8 billion, with a B, people in this world today. We live in a world of sound bites, short attention spans, TikTok, Reels, Facebook, Instagram, now Blue Sky. I'm going to avoid saying some of the other platforms that are very controversial these days. But at the end of the day, everyone is fighting for your attention. 8 billion people fighting for your attention. Now, as a communicator, how do you communicate so that people want to hear what you have to say? That's what we're going to talk about today. Doesn't matter whether you're in sales, you're a leader of a small team, big team, an emerging leader, an executive, a teacher, technical, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's all about communication. And we're going to go through a bunch of that stuff. So briefly, let me just tell you, how the heck did this guy get here? Why should I listen to him? So way back, way back, way before UAlbany, when I was 12 years old, I fell in love with magic. Started doing magic tricks, doing the stuff, annoying your friends and family. And I wanted to do that. I wanted to do that. And I said, that's so much fun. And my dad looked at me and he said, yeah, we're going to lock you in your room until that idea gets out of your head. And I went to UAlbany, got a couple of degrees in computer science. I was very good in computer science. And everybody said, well, that's how you're going to make a living. You're not going to make a living as a magician. There's an old joke. What's the difference between a professional magician and a large pizza? A large pizza can feed a family of 4. But I never lost my love of magic. And I was performing on the side. I was doing stuff, dorm parties and things like that, just messing around all the time. I learned juggling. It was great doing it in the low rise on the quads because you had those nice big tall ceilings. But I never lost my love of magic. And as I went through my career, I focused a lot on tech. I did tons of software development. I worked on operating systems, the geekiest stuff you can imagine. I went into leadership management. And as I went through my career, I kept doing magic. And it started to dawn on me that a lot of my success in my career came from my viewpoint as a performer and how I relate to any audience, whether it's my managers, whether it's my team, whether it's the executives, whether I'm trying to get funding for a project. At the end of the day, it's all about communication. Now, going back to the magician side of it, as a magician, we try and alter people's perception. All right. First thing is I'll tell you, and I'm going to give you a bunch of secrets. I'm going to give you a bunch of gifts as we go through this. But I'm going to tell you the first secret. There's no such thing as magic. Okay. But it's the perception of what just happened in front of you. And that was a lot of fun. I didn't just see that. Oh my goodness, what the heck did I just see? But all communication is perception. And that's where everything started to come together. So to finish off this story, a number of years ago, I moved to Boston, kicking and screaming because it's really cold here. But I was approached by some folks at Harvard University, and they said, we want you to teach some psychology classes. We want you to teach some of this communication, how people miss what's right in front of them every day, how people can be more effective communicators. And that was the birth of this entire method that I put together, tactical communication, that now I'm teaching to corporations, universities, executive coaching. I do a lot of one-on-one coaching. I run a lot of workshops and things like that. And that just opened up a whole world for me. And that's really the passion, not so much the tech geek stuff anymore. So we're going to go through that. And before we do, let me just do a couple of quick housekeeping things. I did do a TED Talk about 7 years ago, and you can find that. I'm not going to try and give you the URL because it's a really silly URL. But if you do a search on YouTube, observationist, okay, it was all about observation and seeing what's right in front of me that people miss every day. And actually, I do a mind-blowing demonstration at the end of it. It's only 13 minutes. You'll have a lot of fun with it. The other thing also is if anybody wants to contact me, I'll put this up at the end as well. But if you go to my website, davidreich.com/tactical communication, you'll be able to download, some infographics and a bunch of tips on tactical communication, and I'll send you a whole bunch of other really cool information. So I'll leave that up there just for a second if you want to write that down. But let's get started into this. Now, one of the things where I never thought I'd be in my career is where I am right now, is I'm doing tons of work in sales related stuff. Now, I got my degrees in computer science. I never thought I'd be doing sales. And everybody said, oh, you'd be so great in sales. I said, yeah, but I don't like it. And I don't like asking people for money. And what I found was the communication skills and what I'm doing with the sales teams. And especially, I found so many people in customer facing roles that don't understand how to really communicate with people. A friend of mine, and I will not out any individual or any company, works for a very large software company. And I talked to him about doing sales enablement training. And he said, Dave, you know what our sales enablement training is? And by the way, this is one of the biggest software companies in the world. He said, our sales enablement training is giving people the product manuals, making sure they understand the product, and then sending them out and saying, go sell. And I said, so you don't teach them how to develop rapport with people, how to foster trust, develop relationships, find out what they need so you can solve their problems rather than just sell them software? And he said, nope. And I said, well, okay, their loss. But that's part of the idea. Okay. And I'll show you the very first card trick I learned in just a second. But here's a perfect example. And I've done all these things as experiments. If I'm out someplace, and I've actually done this in Times Square, where I've got two cameras with me and a microphone. They weren't even on. They were just for show. We weren't really recording anything, but I was doing experiments. And I walked up to somebody and I said, hey, we're filming a show here. Would you like to see something really cool, like a magic trick? And they said, yeah. And I said, okay, can I borrow a $20 bill? And they said, really? And I gauged people's responses and how I asked them and what they were. Where I'm getting at is some people are just naive and say, well, here you go. And then as a joke, I put it in my pocket, say, thank you, next time. Made a $20 bill disappear. But people don't want to trust you. All right, let's face it. We do business with people we know, like, and trust. How do you develop that kind of rapport with people very quickly? And as a magician, people are already going to be skeptical because, let's face it, I lie, cheat, and steal for entertainment purposes. So developing rapport is really important. And the first thing is how you're going to approach something is how you can start off with developing the rapport. So let me change scenes here. Make sure I got the right. There we go. All right. So you should see me in the lower corner of the screen, and you should see my little funky close-up pad here. Now, ordinarily, I don't do a lot of card tricks. I'm not a big card magician. I do a lot of hypnosis, a lot of mentalism, mind reading, influence, because that's what I do, communication. How do you get people where you need them to go? But the first thing is how you present it. Now, this is the very first magic trick I ever learned. And I'm not sure how old everybody is in the audience, but way back before Times Square was the Disney World that it is today, there were a bunch of guys running around with these cardboard boxes and this whole team of people with 3 cards. And it was 3-card Monty, we called it. And they would get people to bet and take your money. So I walk up to this guy. Well, I got to make sure I keep my hands in frame. I walk up to this guy and he said, look, you look like a nice kid. I'm going to ask you some questions, show you some cards, give you a chance to make some money. I said, that's cool. He says, every time you answer a question right, I'm going to give you $1. And I was like, cool. He said, every time you answer one wrong, you owe me $1. And I said, well, that kind of stinks. So he says, I'm going to show you 3 cards. I'm going to show you a red diamond and put that face down. I'm going to show you another red diamond, put that face down. I'm going to show you a blue diamond. Now, we take all 3 cards and the blue diamond is the money card. So if I take the blue diamond and put the blue diamond on the bottom, where's the blue diamond? I said, that's easy. It's on the bottom. He said, I'm sorry, there's a red diamond on the bottom. You owe me $1. I said, oh, well, wait a second. If it's not on the bottom, it's got to still be on the top, right? He goes, well, it's not on the top either. That's $2 you owe me. I said, wait, there's only 3 cards. If it's not on the top and not on the bottom, it's got to be in the middle. He said, well, it's not in the middle either. That's $3 you owe me. I said, wait a minute. You took the blue diamond out when I wasn't looking. He says, no, it's right there on the bottom. That's $4 you owe me. I said, well, wait a second. I think I got it now. I don't have to know where it is. I just have to get something right. If it's on the bottom, it can't be on the top. He said, I'm sorry, it's on the top also. And I said, wait a second. If it's on the bottom and on the top, it can't be in the middle. He said, well, it's in the middle also. I think that was about $6 or something. And I said, well, you've got to be using more than 3 cards. He said, I'm not. Look, 1, 2, 3. That's $7 you owe me. Tell you what, I'm going to give you a chance to get even, double or nothing. And you look like a nice kid. So I'm going to give you some help because you really suck at this. He said, I'm going to show you a red diamond. I'm going to show you a blue diamond. If you tell me what this card is, you don't owe me anything. If you don't, you owe me $14. And I thought for a second, I said, well, yeah, with my luck, it's probably like what, purple or half blue and half red. He said, I'm sorry, you owe me $14. Now, it's a very simple trick. And, you can probably, get some idea on how this is happening, but the presentation and how you tell a story is important. So the first thing is I started you off talking about taking you back, giving you a little bit of emotional, the older Times Square. And I was this little kid and it was $1 at a time. Okay. And I got you invested in my story. I have a friend who performs the same effect. And what he does is he takes 7 silver dollars out and he gives them to the person. And every time they get something wrong, he takes one of the dollars back. So he creates an emotional connection that way. I have another friend who's a street magician in New Orleans who does the same thing. And he goes, rinky dinky doo, here's a diamond for you and a diamond for you and all for me and nothing for you. So he does that kind of thing. And that's actually, that's not my personality. So, there's a couple of things to start with right there is get somebody emotionally invested in the story, get them hooked and be who you are. Don't try to be somebody who you're not, and think about how to make that whatever it is you're doing, how to make that your own. I started off with there's 8 billion people in the world. And you're like, okay, where's he going with this? And I'm talking about the short attention spans and so on. I'm getting interested to see where I'm going to go with this. I also mentioned I'm going to give you some gifts, which I am. Okay. So that's going to keep people, that's going to keep people interested and thinking about where you want to get people to go. So here's a couple of little nuggets to start off with. And I'm going to put things in performers terms. Always focus on your audience. Now, your audience as a performer is your audience. Your audience could be one-on-one. It could be your spouse, significant other. It could be your kids. It could be a group of friends you're telling a joke to. It could be your manager, your boss, your executives, venture capitalists if you're trying to get some money, people you want to sell your product to, whoever your audience is. It doesn't matter what you need out of this. And it's this perspective. You know, people think, oh, a magician, they're just going to throw this stuff at me and I'm just. The best performers think about what their audience wants, what they want to see. So for example, if you're going to do a kids show, you're going to do something very different than if you're doing, you know, a 25th anniversary party or a retirement party or something like that. So how do you do this? How do you get this information? Now, I'm going to start giving you some of the secrets that we use as mentalists and mind readers, because there's no such thing as me reading your mind, ooh, you know, your brain waves. It doesn't work like that. It really is psychology, and it's a lot more than looking at body language. It's how you structure your communications to effectively and tactically communicate with them. And that's some of the things, again, that I do with, I'm doing that right now with a company here just in North Andover, Mass, where the executives aren't getting through to their teams. And, well, we have this information. It's like, but what's important to them? What's important to them is not what's important to you. And how do we get to that communication? So the first thing you need to do, whether you're in sales or anything else, is start off with some open-ended questions like, what's the biggest challenge facing you today? Why'd you call me? All right, let people talk. So ask a couple of questions and then shut the heck up. Let them talk. People want to talk about themselves. They want to talk about their problems. Now you can start getting information from them without them ever realizing they're just giving you all the information that you need. So rather than ask questions and check boxes, I hate those kind of things. Just have a conversation. And people will start revealing things that even they didn't realize were problems. And that's how you start developing that rapport, because then you say, hang on a second, you just mentioned this. Let's build on that for a second. When did this start? What does that mean to you? Why is that such a problem? Help me understand that. Asking some more open-ended questions and talking to people and getting that information. A lot of times I'll be having these kind of conversations. People just have these epiphanies and say, oh my goodness, I just answered my own problem. And that's another thing we'll get into in a little bit. You don't always have to be the answer to all their problems. You're being tactical in your communications and helping them through anything that they're doing. So, I'm going to try and do something with one of the folks who I've got as panelists. Actually, panelists not really so much; they're more like victims. I mean, volunteers for magic tricks. So, let's start off with Vanessa. Vanessa, do me a favor. Can you turn on your camera and hit your mic? There we go. Awesome. Okay, you I want to make sure you can hear me. Yes?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And I want to make sure I can hear you. And you said yes, so that works. All right, Vanessa, I've got a deck of cards sitting here. Let me change my screens. Okay. Now, Vanessa, I'm going to need 4 of a certain value, okay? Because, you know, we have values and suits on the cards, diamonds, clubs, hearts, spades, but we got the values. So, I mean, we've got, twos, threes, fives, sixes, nines. Name the value of a card.
5.
Fives. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to take out the, whoops, it's a brand new deck. It's really slippery and, and especially it's, this time of year, your hands get all dry and everything. Tell you a funny story while I'm pulling this out. Just to do card stuff. I used to travel with an egg of silly putty, believe it or not. Why an egg of silly putty? If you roll it in your hands, it makes your fingers a little bit tacky. So I was able to, not let the cards slip out of my fingers too much. All right. I'm going to take some other cards. Okay. And you chose the fives. We didn't plan this beforehand, right?
No.
Okay. I'm sure everybody believes that one. Okay. It's true. All right. So you can see, random set of cards I just pulled out here. And we've got the 4 fives. So ordinarily, we would be doing this in person. I had to get used to doing this during Zoom shows. And I am going to put the 4 fives face up in really random places. Okay, you're going to get the choices every place in this. Okay, now, I just threw them in here. Ordinarily, you would do it so we know. Would you like me to move any of these, or are you okay with this?
Okay.
Okay. I'll give you another hint. You ever see a magician going like this with cards? With the fingertips like this? You know they ain't doing nothing funny. Okay. Now, we've got the 4 fives face up, randomly placed around the deck. I'll cut it a couple of times. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to perfectly mix these cards face up into face down. How am I going to do that? Face up into face down. Hope I didn't mess this up. Now, now they're perfectly mixed. Now, I'm going to take some cards. I'm going to flip them. I'm going to cut them. And I'm going to take some cards. I'll flip them. And I'll cut them again. Okay, Vanessa, should I take these cards and flip them or keep them the way they are?
Keep them.
Keep them. Keep them or flip them?
Keep them.
Keep them. Keep them or flip them?
Flip them.
Flip them. Keep them or flip them?
Flip them.
Flip them. And
Keep.
keep. Okay. Now, all right, let's mix these little bad boys up just a little bit more. Now, one thing I was telling everybody before we started is I am part of a magic group here in Boston, and and it is a it's like an improv. Oops. See, the cards are slipping around my hands. It's part of an improv group, and we experiment all the time. We're always trying stuff out. And I'm going to talk about this in context of communication. But the thing is, we perform things that we've never performed before because you have to go out there on a limb. And sometimes you're going to fail spectacularly, right? But what you need to do is structure everything that you're going to do and prepare, okay? And rehearse. I'm going to get to that in a second. Let's finish this up. All right. If I was focusing, and a lot of times, especially when I do this on Zoom, is I kind of lose track of what I'm doing. But the idea is, hopefully, I was tracking where those fives were at every moment. And now the magic happens. I'm making the fives, which I know where they are, flip the same way they are and put all the other cards back in order. You believe me?
Maybe.
All right, let's see. There we go.
Wow.
Okay. Now, I kind of went in another direction. Thank you, Vanessa. Pardon me. quick drink. So, wow. So the reason I do this, and show this this effect is to talk about focus and how to communicate really, really tactically. And this is really the core of everything. I'm going to give you some homework. Your choice to do it if you don't want to. But this is going to bake your brain. It is going to mess you up. It's going to make you very upset with yourself. But I guarantee if you do this a few times, it doesn't take long. It doesn't take long to build this habit. If you do this, you will become way, way more effective than you've ever been before as a communicator. And this is part of the secret that we use as mentalists and mind readers. And that is this. You need to split your brain. Now, the best way to get people to listen to you is to listen to them. I already mentioned this. Ask some open-ended questions and shut up and listen. Now, at the end of the day, chances are you're talking to them for a reason, telling them a story, asking somebody out, trying to make a sale, which, hey, it's the same thing, right? Asking somebody out and making a sale. But you have a goal. You have something that you want to accomplish. But they're now driving the conversation. They're going wherever they want to go. So you got to kind of split your brain, and in a couple of ways. First thing is you obviously need to listen, but you also need to understand where they're going and think about their motivation. Are they doing whatever it is? And I'll just bring this into I don't have to cover all the bases. Let's just say it's a sales context. I don't care. Are they doing what they're doing? Are they looking to buy a piece of software or services or any product or change a business process, whatever it is? Are they looking to do it out of fear? Are they looking to do it to grow? Are they doing it out of growth necessity? They're just, things are getting out of control. You need to figure out their motivation. Now, at the same time as you're listening and listening for that motivation, you also have to remember what your goal is. Tactically, how you can get to your goal and figure out how to get them from where they are to where you want them to be without going like that. Okay, that's not good rapport. Saying, well, I know you're going over there, but let's get back to this. Okay, you want to let these people, you do business with people you know, like, and trust. And you trust people who listen to you. We like people who are like us. So you want to be letting them go where they're going to go, but guide them back. Now, I'll give you a perfect example. Somebody who I learned a ton from. The last few years, as I mentioned about 1 billion times, I hate the cold. So I decided with what I do, I can do so much of what I do remotely. I've been spending half the winter the last few years in Key West. Why? I used to live in Florida. I love Key West. It's the coolest little place. I found a great apartment, whatever. And as luck would have it, there's a guy there who's been there 27 years now. He has the Comedy Magic Bar. Okay, if you're ever down there, if you're ever down in Key West, the Schooner Wharf Comedy Magic Bar, you will not regret it. But I became friends with the guy. He lets me perform there whenever I want. And watching him and watching the dynamic versus what I usually do with business and corporate and people and, communication skills using magic, he's just a pure magician to just mess around with people. and I use it for reasons. And, so here's an interesting question. You don't have to unmute yourself and answer, but what do you find in bars? Don't say drinks. You find drunk people. And yeah, show us a matter quick, right? You say, okay, pick a card. Okay, and they grab the card like that. Now what are you going to do? How are you going to lose that card in the deck and say, well, it's like all the others? And well, no, it's not. It's all crumbled up. Or, okay, yep, I remember the card. And you put it back in the deck and say, is this your card? I don't remember. So, so depending on the audience and who's there, right? Now you have to look around the room. So the easiest example is, you picked, okay, so you say pick a card and they pick a card, and it doesn't matter. I'm doing a trick so I can see this on my camera. But all right, don't say it out loud. Now you got to remember to say that first, because the first thing a drunk person will like, oh, there's a close. Like, okay, well, that just ruined that one. Let's pick another card, and you can be doing that all night. You say, okay, now don't say it out loud. I just want you to remember it. And in fact, just in case, I want everyone else to remember it. Okay, don't say it out loud. Okay, so just thinking, even in that simplistic context, how do you manage a conversation? Now, going back to splitting your brain, people are talking and you start to listen to the words they're saying. And are they using fearful terms? Are they, ascertain why they're talking about what they're talking about, why they need to be talking to you, and where you need them to go. So now you're splitting your brain and saying, well, I'm listening to them and I'm trying to figure out what their motivation is and why they're trying to do this and some of the things that they need. And at the same time, where are they taking me and where do I need to get them back to? And all of a sudden you're going to say, but now I'm not listening to them. I'm thinking too much about these other things. And that's what's going to bake your brain a little bit. All right. You're going to feel guilt. You're going to feel guilty that you're not listening to them. Your brain is taking in a lot more information than you realize. And by practicing this a little bit, you will be able to start doing this naturally and start listening through what people are saying, because now you're going to get that connection. And now you're going to get them to where you want them to be and get to a successful conclusion, no matter where they're going, no matter what they need or what direction or what tangents they're going off on. And and in doing that, you're going to help them expose everything that they know and don't know. So I'm also a certified coach, and people say, oh, what do you coach? Coach baseball? This is not that kind of thing, batting coach, pitching coach, football, quarterback coach, something like that. But a coach is very different than a mentor. And all this is related because a mentor has the right answers. A coach has the right questions because they will know what they need better than you ever could. They know what their problems are. They know what their motivations are. But at the same time, you need to help bring that to the surface. So by asking those questions strategically and weaving that conversation, that's how you get to where you need to go. And that's how you get everything to that successful conclusion. So I just want to watch time too. Let's have a little more fun. I am going to do a mind reading thing now. So I'm gonna have some fun. I'm gonna ask Colin. Want to help me out with this one, Colin?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, let me change my screens back so you can see the cards. And again, I have to use cards as props because what else are you going to use on Zoom? I have something else we'll do with some coins in a few minutes. But all right, now this goes right back to all the things that we were just talking about. Thinking about the people, understanding people, right? And I am going to be a human lie detector. I'm going to need you to lie to me for a second. All right. Now, I know a little bit about you. I haven't, just make sure for everybody else, we've never met before a few minutes before we started, right?
Correct.
About the only thing I know about you is that you're here on this webinar and you're in Saratoga. That's about all I know, right?
Correct.
Okay. And now, did you go to Albany? Did you go to UAlbany, or you were just,
I didn't have the privilege of attending, but I'm a Very eager employee.
Okay, so give me real quick, like 30 seconds. How did you grow up in the area, and how did you wind up working in UAlbany?
Slowly, my family started migrating to upstate New York, and about a year ago, opportunity presented itself to join the admissions team, and I eagerly accepted and moved up here last spring.
Awesome. From where?
Most recently, Queens, New York.
Oh, cool. Okay. Okay. No offense. I was born in the Bronx. Okay. Now, I've got enough information about you right now. All right. Just from that little bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off. I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to make a prediction about you. Okay. And we're going to start off, and I'm going to, whoops, try and keep my hands in frame. I've got my my MacBook camera here. Let's see. Because I'm looking at you, I'm looking at how you're dressed, how you speak, the fact you're from Queens, you've been there a year, a lot of information, you get from just a couple of quick, yeah, this one right here. That's going to be my prediction. Okay. Now, Colin, the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to go through the deck of cards like this. I'm going to riffle through it with my thumb. I want you to say stop whenever you want. You ready?
Stop.
Right there. All right. Now, I'm going to turn my head. You can see me in the corner. And this is the hardest part of this trick. Okay. I'm going to make sure, don't say it out loud. I need you to remember your card. Can you see it? Am I holding it in front of the camera?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, good. Okay, so everyone else can see this as well, I hope. And you can see I'm looking in the other direction. Okay, I'm going to cover this up. And now I'll shuffle the deck a few times. Oops, shuffle the deck a few times. All right, I'm going to need everyone else to keep you being an honest liar. All right, I'm going to ask you one question. I'm going to ask you what your card is. I'm going to need you to lie to me. Okay, and from your lie, I'm going to divine the truth. All right. Okay, Colin, for the first and only time, lie to me. What was your card?
7 of clubs.
7 of clubs. Okay, that was pretty quick. I want to make sure somebody raise your hand or something like that if the 7 of clubs was the real card. Make sure it wasn't the real card. I want to make sure, make him an honest liar. Right? Okay, cool. All right, so you said the 7 of clubs. All right, now, let's see, 7 of clubs. Colin, look into the camera for a minute. Okay, wow, that's scary. Okay, 7 of clubs. Now, does that have any, is that like a lucky card for you? I actually know why a lot of people say the 4 of clubs, but is that a lucky card for you?
Nope.
Okay, so you just plucked that one out of thin air, didn't you?
Sure did.
Okay, so 7 of clubs. I'm getting the feeling that when you lie, and I'm not going to call you a liar, I asked you to do it. Okay. When you lie, you like twisting the truth a bit. You don't want to just go off the reservation and tell a whopper. Am I right?
Sure.
Okay. I can tell that about you. Okay. You try to make something plausible. So there's number cards. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then there's the court cards, ace, king, queen, jack. I'm getting the feeling that the real card, okay, you can stop lying to me. The real card is actually a number card. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. So the real card is a number card. All right. So we didn't go, but I think you wanted to twist it a little bit. There's red cards and black cards. I think the real card is a red card. So I think it's a red number card. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. And the 7, you went right in the middle of the deck. I'm thinking, yeah, I think you wanted to go, yeah. Yep. My first thought was it. Yep. Okay. For the first time, name your card out loud for everyone.
2 of diamonds.
You mean like that one?
Yep.
Now, here, this is really the funny thing, because You said the 7 of clubs as your lie card. Remember we had this prediction sitting here the whole time?
Yeah.
Would it surprise you that before we ever started, the 7 of clubs was the card I put down on the table?
Wow.
That's how you listen to people. That's how you listen to people. Oops. There we go. So, those are the kind of things that you make a connection with somebody and you can get information and you could learn something about someone's personality. Now, could I teach you how to do this? Absolutely. All right. Could I teach you in the next 5 minutes? No. It takes a long time to learn and practice this stuff. But that's really the idea is focus, being able to think about multiple things at the same time, like those 4 face-up 5s, okay, in the face-down deck, and how I was able to track everything, even though Vanessa made all of her own free choices every single time, okay, just like how you made your own free choice, through what we just did. And it's a matter of making those connections. Now the other thing is let's go back to splitting your brain a little bit, because this is the Alumni Association, but at the same time, I belong to a fitness group here in Boston. It's a grassroots fitness group started by a couple of guys who used to row for Northeastern. A lot of the people, in a good and bad way, who belong to this could kind of call me dad. They're finishing, they're finishing their bachelor's degrees. They're finishing, post-grad degrees. They're going for interviews. They're going for internships and, for things in hospitals. And we talk about interviewing skills. And this is really just the same thing. You need to make a connection with whoever you need to make a connection with. And it's just like sales, because at the end of the day, you're selling yourself. Okay. Where if you might have exactly the right skills, but if you're not communicating them the way the receiver needs to hear them, it doesn't matter. So by using what I was talking about earlier, noticing, okay, and that's the one thing I didn't really dig into yet, is you let them talk and then you ask some questions and you see if what you're saying is landing. Look at their face. Look at what I'm seeing Colin just nodding a little bit. Okay. When I do this for a large group, and we don't do this particular format, I keep everybody on screen and I'm looking at everybody. I'm looking at all the little, thumbnails, and I'm looking to see if people are looking around, if people are nodding their head, if somebody's smiling, they're laughing at my jokes, if my jokes have fallen flat, whatever it is. And I pivot my message on the fly, real time, right? This is an acquired skill, and it doesn't take a huge amount to master this skill. What it takes is going out on a limb. It takes practice. It just takes conscious thought that you have where you need to go. They have what they need to say. You need to find the information. You need to notice if what they're saying and what their motivation is. And you need to see if what you're doing is landing, or if they're just, waiting to finish the meeting and move on. So all of those things together, and then you say, but I'm not really listening. You just told me the best way to get people to listen to you is to listen to them. I'm not listening. I'm doing all these other things. It just takes a little bit. And you're going to get angry at yourself saying, I'm not doing this right. And that's okay. Keep pushing through it, because you will get there. The next thing, and I guess I'm probably the last thing I'm going to do before I do one more trick, and then actually I can teach you guys a card trick if you really want, is something else that it's a phrase. I didn't make it up. I borrowed it from someone who I worked with in consulting a while back, but make them the hero. Whoever it is you're working with, make them the hero. I didn't do that thing with Colin just now. He did it. He gave me all the information I needed. He was the hero of this trick. Whenever you're doing something with anyone, and especially if you're, in a business context, in sales or whatever it happens to be, let them take the credit. Who cares? At the end of the day, they've hired you, they've bought your product, whatever it is. And if someone's going to give them credit for it, by all means, who cares who gets the credit as long as you get the successful outcome? I've done plenty of shows. In fact, the effect I'm going to perform tonight, I'm simply a prop. The person on stage is the person who's really going to get the applause. And guess what that does? That makes them know, like, and trust you. So you might say, oh, there's all these little Machiavellian techniques he's talking about. No, it's just simple, effective communication, because everyone comes out of this feeling good about what you've been doing. So make them the hero and let them take all the credit. And I'll tell you a real quick story. This is about 7 years ago. I was engaged to work on a project, and doesn't really matter the details. It was about this whole authentication mechanism for this whole aviation weather software service. And I had a team of people, and I just sat down and I said, well, I got my ideas. You guys are the ones who are going to be writing the code. You tell me, what do you think? And that was my open-ended question. I sat and I listened. And I asked a bunch of questions, and we came to a consensus on the team. And I had to go sell it to the VP, who was an extraordinarily opinionated gentleman. And I'm being kind when I say that. He said, I don't like it. I don't like that idea. And I said, how come? And he couldn't give me any good reasons. It was almost like a because answer. And I said, well, the team is this, and I tried, the basic, convincing somebody. Look, you can't convince anybody of anything. You can only help them convince themselves. Again, that's tactical communication. And I'm actually going to throw that back up there in case anybody didn't write that down, because please go get this stuff, because I put a bunch of this stuff out for a reason. It's all kinds of free, tips and tricks and videos and stuff like that. So what happened was, I told the team, we're going to do what we thought. And they said, well, he doesn't really like that idea. And I said, let me worry about that one. And we started working on it. And I had one person working on the VP's idea. And I came back to him in about 3 weeks and I showed him our progress. He said, I thought we weren't going to do that. And I said, just go with me. Okay, I'm not taking anything away from the other option. Then about 2 weeks later, I showed him where we were going. He started asking me some questions about it. Another couple of weeks later, he asked me for some status on it. Pretty soon, that's what we were doing. When we finished and we delivered it, he said, here's the solution that I led this team to do whatever. He was saying that he led the team. Did I care that was not what he wanted and we had to? No, I didn't care, because we did what was right for the product, right for the business, right for the service. And if I didn't even say behind closed doors, saying, that wasn't your idea to start with. I made it his idea. He made it his idea. That's the way we're going to succeed. Because at the end of the day, you're going to get the commission. You're going to get, accolades. People have come to me and said, Dave, you did a great job here. And I said, are you kidding me? I led a team that did a great job here. Everybody did this. So let the other people be the hero. Again, now, the next time I came to him with an idea, he didn't push back on it so hard. even subconsciously, he just said, you know what? The last thing we did was successful. The next thing we're going to do is going to be successful. So this just scratches the surface of the tactical communication, this whole method that I've got, and what's really neat was it's so many core concepts. And as I started teaching this stuff, I taught it in a sales context. And technical leaders said, there's too much sales stuff in here. So I changed it up with the same core concepts. And now I do it for emerging leaders, technical leaders, executive presence, eminence, and so on. So it's really a lot of core concepts showing all the different applications, which just makes life a lot of fun. And before I take this off the screen, we'll do one more magic trick, and then we'll have a couple of questions and answers. And look, please reach out to me. I love talking about this stuff. This is my passion. It used to be geekery, tech stuff was my passion. This is really my passion. So with that, let's do one more magic trick because I've got just a little bit of time. Let me change the screen back and let's go to Ryan. Let's have some fun. Okay, Ryan?
I'm ready.
All right. All right. So I'll tell you a quick story about these coins. Okay. This is an Old English penny and a US half dollar. Okay. And funny story about this, when I said, practice, try, fly without a net. I got these coins. I learned this routine. And usually I carry, yes, Colin, this is being recorded. I'm not sure the availability, but we'll work with Holly on that. So I usually carry a deck of cards with me, even though I don't do a lot of card tricks. If I get called out on the spot, hey Dave, do a card trick, do some. I didn't have a deck of cards with me. I happened to be at a conference, and it was a high executive conference, and I was there to talk about geek stuff. And I was there with the vice president of my division, and all of a sudden, the CEO of Frito-Lay comes up, and we're talking, and all of a sudden, a couple of other big name people, and the guy who I was working with, Bill, he goes, Dave, show us a magic trick. And I was like, crap, I got nothing. All I had were these two coins. I had been practicing with them for a year, and I had never performed this before. And I said, okay, it's go big or go home time. So I said, okay, we're going to have some fun. And I never go anywhere without this pouch anymore with these two coins in it. Okay. So I've got my copper and silver. This is the world famous 2-coin trick. All right, Ryan? I'm gonna
Ready.
close my hand. I'm going to reach in and I am going to take out the silver dollar. Notice my fingers never leave my hands. Okay. You can see in the small screen, I'm taking the half dollar and putting it in my pocket. Ryan, what's left in my hand?
The Japanese coin.
Oh, it was British, but it's okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
British.
But Ryan, it's a 2-coin trick. Hang on a second. Maybe the color is confusing you a little bit. Okay, on the screen and everything else. Copper and silver. I'm going to close my hand. I'm going to reach in and take out the copper coin. I'm going to put it in my pocket. Ryan, what's left in my hand?
The silver dollar.
Ryan, it's a 2-coin trick. Do you follow instructions, dude? Hang on. You're going to get something right sooner or later. You have to. Statistically, you have to. Copper and silver. Whoop, there we go. In screen. I'm going to close my hand. I'm going to reach in. I'm going to take out the silver one, the half dollar. Put it in my pocket. Ryan, what is in my hand?
Third time's the charm. I'm going to say it's the 2-coin trick. So there's 2 coins.
Are you guessing or are you?
I'm certain.
You're certain. Not bad.
Look at me
Okay.
go.
However, anybody can get lucky. All right, we're gonna try one more time. See if you can get lucky again. I promise this ends. I promise this ends sooner or later. Close my hand. I reach in. I'm not even gonna look and see which one I got. The copper coin. Ryan, what's left in my hand?
I'm going to say the 2 coins again.
You sure?
I'm sure.
You're even more sure now, right?
I'm even more sure. Even
I
more.
I told you that the trick ends at some point.
What?
This one's always a lot of fun. And a lot of people say, well, where's the, where's the coins? And I said, well, I have to be able to perform this again. So they're just right back there in the pouch that's been sitting there on the table the whole time. Anyway,
Whoa.
that's why I do magic tricks, because I love that look on people's faces when they know they didn't see what they just saw.
You're
So
right.
So just to finish up here, because I want to stick as close to the time as possible. That's another example of how to present something. I originally started it was almost like a nasty effect. It was almost like a challenge, and say, all right, I just took that out. Now what's in my hand? And I said, really? I told you it's a 2-coin trick. Okay. And it was just that little change in tone. And there was a guy, it's funny, his name, I'll never forget him. His name's Kim Silverman. He works at Apple. The guy looks like Gandalf. He's hysterical. He's got a white beard down to here, white hair down to his butt. He really looks like Gandalf. He goes around like that. But he said, Dave, just a personal thing. That doesn't seem like your personality. That's this other guy, Jay, who we happen to be watching. But he said, come up with another way to do it, okay? And say, I've done this effect for my daughter's class. And what I did was, and I can't do it because I'm not going to stand, but it was basically, I had my hand out like this, and I put the coin in my pocket, and then I just went like this. I went, trying to do some very bad, dance movie kind of thing, and say, whoop, and it shows right back up in my hand again. Okay, so it's all in how you present that. So again, all this stuff is, goes back to tactical communication. It's how you communicate, whether it's a magic trick, you're trying to sell them $5 million worth of software. In fact, that just happened last week. I was working with a client, and they didn't realize what their problem really was. And while we were talking, they said, wait a minute, now I get it. Now I saw it beforehand. I saw it before the meeting. I read all kinds of briefing material, and I said, I can't tell them. I need to lead them where they need to go and let them convince themselves. So I want to be respectful of the time. It's 1 o'clock. I have some time if people want to hang around for some questions and answers. And I can even teach you guys a card trick if you really want me to. And thank you, Holly. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Vanessa and Colin and Ryan, for being volunteers. And and I can hang out if you guys want to. So thank you very much.
David, thank you so much. This was really enjoyable and insightful. I do also want to thank Nathan Blank for being here and not getting chosen. That's okay.
Oh,
Nate,
sorry.
you got off the hook today. But a special thank you to Ryan, Vanessa, Nate, 3 of our UAlbany alumni who joined us here today, willing to be guinea pigs, and Colin, who is one of my favorite colleagues on campus. So thank you all to our admissions team for joining in and helping us to make this a successful event. David, we really appreciate you giving back to the community. UAlbany has the best alumni in the world, and so we're grateful to be able to share some of the gifts that our alumni have with the rest of our alumni community. And this is being recorded, so we will send it out to everyone who registered, and it'll be available on our website for other people to view. I do want to be respectful of people's lunch hours, so thank you, David, for making yourself available.
Sure.
And
Please, anybody reach out to me. And there is a Q&A question. Look, Holly, it's okay if you want to leave this thing open. I got time. I don't have to leave for my show tonight till 4:30. So we can,
okay, we'll ask you the one question.
Yeah, what do you got?
We head out. If you're a scientist trying to communicate, convince big people like government stakeholders, but they're not they're not experts, how can you keep their attention and get them to understand your point?
Awesome question. Oh my goodness. like I said, I do a half-day workshops and stuff like that. So there's way more than I was able to get into. I will illustrate that with a story. All right. Which, by the way, is the best way to communicate. You get people invested in stories. This goes back to that same group I was managing 7 years ago. We needed to do a whole re-architecture. Everybody kind of understood that it needed to be done. Not everybody was able to understand why it needed to be done, other than, yeah, what we got is dated. The software's 20 years old and we have to rewrite this. And there was all good reasons. And I went to my lead architect and I said, I want a short PowerPoint deck with no more than 4 slides, okay, that tell the story of what we're doing and why we're doing it and, you know, what they're going to get out of it. And this was going to go to the people who were the decision makers, who weren't necessarily the geeks, to really understand the architecture, because the architecture is a really complex mess, which was part of the problem. So Kate comes back to me and she had this architecture chart and she said, this is what the architecture looks like today and where it's going to go. And this is what we want to do. This is why we've made these decisions. This is how much it's going to take and how long it's going to take to do it. And here are the gains that we're going to realize out of it. And I said, awesome. Take the first 2 charts and put them in the back. And she said, why? And I said, because think about your audience. The audience are not technical. And she said, but some of them come from the technical and they're going to want to know this. I said, great. Use the techniques of what we do in magic. It's called an out. All right. If something goes haywire, if a trick goes sideways, you got to have some place to go. You need some kind of a net. Now, a lot of stuff I do without a net, which is not the brightest, but it makes life interesting. And I said, just because you need to say it doesn't mean that they need to hear it. That's a really, really important concept, because this meeting are the people who are going to make the decisions to say, we're going to give you this much money in this much time, and I'm going to get this out of it. Awesome. That was the purpose. That's putting your audience before you. And if they ask questions, you've got it in the backup. Now, all of a sudden, you're 2 steps ahead of them. You know, I knew you were going to ask that question. Tell you what, let's do this. Let's get through the, you know, what it is and why it's important and what it's going to cost, and we're going to deliver it. And then we can get into the technical stuff, because we can get into technical stuff now, but it'll derail everything. All right. Happy to talk about this as long as you want, but let's get to, so this way, you know, that's how you weave and get back to that successful conclusion first. So by thinking about the audience, thinking about where they might want to go, preparing yourself for if they want to go there, but making sure you focus on the primary mission. And I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I love that. Bury the lead a little bit. That's perfect
Yeah,
advice.
yeah.
Perfect advice. Well, once
Oh.
again, David, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to following your career, and we'll
Yeah.
go onto your website and look at those tactical strategies that you offer.
Yeah,
everybody.
please do. I do this because, you know, I just love to share this stuff, because it's not rocket science, but people just don't make that connection. And that was that connection that has helped me get to where I am. So thanks.
Great. Well, thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Take care, everyone. Thank you again. Thank you, Holly, and everyone else.